Appearances can be deceiving. Minimalist luxury or minimal value? Let's find out. Hey guys, I'm Ben Arthur, this is Ben's Watch Club, and here's my review of Daniel Wellington watches. Near the end of this video, I'll also share with you some far better alternatives that look great and offer superior value for money, which kind of gives you a hint as to where this review is going. If you've followed me on YouTube for a while, you'll know I've mentioned this brand on a few occasions, mainly because this brand is inescapable on social media. If you're at all interested in fashion, you've probably been bombarded with a ton of advertisements from this brand. It's likely the reason you've clicked on this video. Daniel Wellington was founded in 2011 by a Swedish guy called Philip Tysander. His supposed story for naming this brand is truly hilarious and, in my opinion, fictional. Apparently, Philip travelled the world and had a chance meeting in Australia with an intriguing British gentleman whom had a passion for vintage watches, notably a Rolex Submariner on a NATO strap. This man's name? You guessed it. John Cena! No, not quite. It was Daniel Wellington. Following this moment of inspiration, he decided to create his own watch brand. I think his response in a recent interview more accurately portrays what really took place back in 2011. If you put a Rolex Submariner side by side with a Daniel Wellington, they couldn't look more different. This story is clearly a marketing move in my mind. They have taken the watch world by storm using social media as a springboard to get their brand in front of millennial consumers. These guys are experts at influencer marketing. A quick skim over their Instagram tells you all you need to know. The reality is, all of this marketing comes at a cost. Luckily for Daniel Wellington, the gigantic markup on each of their watches easily covers this. It's a well-known fact that Daniel Wellington watches are mass-produced in China, likely for only a few pounds each, to then be sold at a recommended retail price of over £150 each. They can normally be had slightly cheaper from other websites, but on their website, that's what you've got to expect to pay. I believe they used to sell exclusively online, but quickly got their products into regular retail stores. Objectively, this model is working. People are buying these watches and buying lots of them. Back in 2017, this company was named the fastest growing private company in Europe. And that list included all sectors, not just watch brands. However, business models aside, from a customer's perspective, what are you physically getting for your money when you buy a Daniel Wellington watch? Let's find out. The watch I'll be looking at today is their original flagship Sheffield men's watch, though the feedback in this video applies to all of their watches, which are essentially the same. Specification-wise, this one comes in at a diameter of just over 40mm, a case depth of 7mm, which is constructed out of 316L stainless steel. Inside the watch, you'll find a generic Miyota quartz movement. The watch is covered by mineral crystal glass and typically come fitted with a genuine leather strap that measures 20mm at the top. This spec sheet is a perfect showcase of how fashion watch brands can cut corners. Across the board, the materials used in Daniel Wellington watches are some of the lowest quality available, which on one hand is surprising given the fact that these watches are advertised as affordable luxury, yet is unsurprising given the super low manufacturing cost of each of these pieces. Nevertheless, I'd like to start with the design, which is something that the spec sheet doesn't take into account. When you're selling products that are heavily advertised on social media, they've got to look good. If you're selling ugly watches, your conversion of viewers to buyers is going to be terrible. In terms of pure aesthetics, this design is an attractive one. When choosing it, it's clear Philip knew precisely what would appeal to millennials. The dial is ultra minimalist, featuring nothing outside of the branding and time markers. This model doesn't even feature a second hand. Whilst this could be considered plain, it does contribute to a very versatile, sleek design. You compare this with a variety of different straps and outfits, and it will still work well. It may lack character, but it appeals to the masses. Realistically, I doubt much time or effort went into crafting this dial design. But the super slim design is one of the key reasons people like these watches. At just under 7mm, these are some of the thinnest watches you can get your hands on, sitting flush to the wrist of the wearer. Whilst this not only helps the watch to slip under sleeves, stylistically, this fits the bill for a younger audience. Millennials these days like tighter fitting clothing, such as skinny jeans for instance, which are incredibly popular here in the UK. As these watches sit tighter to the wrist too, I could see them appealing to that same crowd. I know this design works from personal experience. Around 5 years ago, as a young, broke guy looking for a watch, I was definitely tempted by Daniel Wellington. I looked through the window of my local H. Samuel and loved the minimalist look. In that store, there wasn't anything else that looked like it, and I was totally inexperienced in the world of watches. This watch also comes in a couple of different diameter variants to suit different wrist sizes, though I feel the 40mm version suits most guys' wrist sizes quite well. While the watch looks fashionable, there is one major issue that I have with this design: its lack of exclusivity. I don't just mean that other watches look similar to these. I'm referring to the oodle of ones that look exactly the same. As I mentioned earlier, Daniel Wellington watches are manufactured in China. Unfortunately, they use quite a generic design which is offered by a multitude of other fashion watch brands, as they likely use a similar Chinese wholesaler. For more information on how some of these businesses work, see my recent dropshipping video. A search on Instagram will quickly reveal a whole host of brands with identical looking designs. This issue is compounded by the fact that Daniel Wellington charged so much more for their watches, without offering enhanced specifications over some of those other brands. The Daniel Wellington watches typically come with a genuine leather strap. Genuine leather is considered to be the lowest basic grade of leather available. Essentially, it comes from one of the worst parts of the hide. Whilst I have seen some impressive genuine leather straps in the past, this isn't one of them. I have barely used this strap, the watch still has the tags on, and you can already see how the cheap leather is creasing and folding. This isn't the worst strap that I've come across. However, it's unlikely to age particularly well and is disappointing when you consider the recommended retail price of well over £100. Sometimes I can forgive brands for skimping somewhat on the strap if they put that money into the rest of the watch. That isn't the case here though. In terms of the rest of the construction, the case is made of 316L stainless steel. This is the current industry standard for watches, so it's to be expected here. Nevertheless, when popping off the back of the case for another video, I found the rear scratched incredibly easily. It's important to note that the grade of material isn't always indicative of the quality of it. The Daniel Wellington features a case which is highly polished throughout and features no brushing, which does give it a shine if that's what you like, but it also makes it a fingerprint magnet. The crown is designed to fit the aesthetic of the watch rather than the function. This is the smallest crown that I've come across on any men's watch. This, combined with the lack of grip on it, makes it hard to turn for those with larger fingers. However, this is minimal in scope and almost gives the watch a fully symmetrical appearance, which may be to the taste of some. The glass covering the dial is mineral crystal. This is the lowest grade of glass, being only a tier above acrylic, aka plastic. When compared to plastic, this should offer some limited scratch protection, but is nothing special. It's possible to find watches with far better and more scratch-resistant sapphire glass for significantly less money elsewhere, which I'll mention later in this video. Powering the Daniel Wellington range is a cheap Miyota GL20 quartz movement. On their website, this is simply referred to as a Japanese quartz movement. A quick Google search indicated that these are available for around £3 per piece when bought individually, and likely a lot less when purchased in bulk. I've heard in some regions that you may get the Miyota 1L22 movement, which retails for about the same price. In truth, I've not come across those, so I can't confirm it. Whilst these are accurate, reliable, and should work for a relatively long time, once more, they are widely available in a variety of watches at a fraction of the price. There are also a variety of automatic watches you can purchase for a similar price if they are more to your taste. It's clearly another area where this brand has cut costs. Overall, I think it's clear to see what this brand's tactics are. Go for the lowest quality components you think you can get away with that should just about scrape satisfying the target market for the brand, and then hike up the price as far as possible to capitalize on the buyer's lack of horological knowledge. But I could see how some people could be totally fine with that. If you like the look of the watch and it physically works, that may be enough for you to want to buy one. That's cool, it's your money, do with it as you please. Maybe your favourite social media star has endorsed one of these and you want to look like them. That's okay. However, I have one question. Whilst the look of the watch may be of primary importance to you, why would you want to overpay to get that look? All of those specifications can be matched or beaten for a fraction of the price elsewhere. Before I go over my pros and cons for this watch, I'd like to share with you two alternatives that I think offer better value for money than a Daniel Wellington. Both have stylish, minimalist designs like the Daniel Wellington Sheffield, but cost far less and are from more established brands. You'll find Amazon links to both of these in the video description. Purchases made through those links also help out this channel a ton, so are always highly appreciated. First up is the Timex Fairfield. The American Timex brand dates back to 1854 and has a real watchmaking heritage. Their Fairfield range delivers minimalist elegance at a low price. I've talked about this watch in previous videos because I really like it. This piece offers build quality that rivals the Daniel Wellington for a fraction of the price. It also comes with extra features like the quick release straps and the amazing Indiglo nightlight for visibility in dark situations, both of which you won't find on a DW. You'll normally be able to get one of these for between £40 to £80 on Amazon UK and for between $30 to $60 on Amazon US, which is an absolute bargain. The watches in that range are a solid choice. A newer alternative is this hidden gem that I've discovered from Casio. This Japanese brand has been manufacturing watches since 1974. It's probably most famous for its digital models. However, this Casio Sapphire LTP analog watch is fantastic value for money. The overall design is extremely similar to the Daniel Wellington, with a minimalist dial, a near identical Japanese movement, and a stylish slim case. As the name suggests, this one even features sapphire crystal glass, which provides top-tier scratch protection, better than the Daniel Wellington. Despite the objectively better specifications, you can still grab this one on Amazon for half the cost of the DW Sheffield. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to see a review video coming out on this one soon. In the meantime, this one is also linked down below. You can get it in multiple colours. You can also get other watches from brands like Seiko. They offer some great low-cost automatic movements. However, this Timex and Casio better reflect the minimalist design and are lower priced. Now onto the pros and cons of the Daniel Wellington. Because yes, admittedly there is some pros to this watch. The first is the stylish appearance. This watch generally looks nice, it definitely appeals to millennials, and I think if it didn't look so good, I don't think there'd be as many influencers willing to promote this stuff. Also, I think this sizing is quite good too. The case itself, this is quite a good diameter for men, and the depth is great, it makes it quite easy and comfortable to wear. Especially if you're someone with skinnier wrists, the fact that this one almost sits flush is great. However, as you may have gathered, there's some major cons in my opinion with this watch. The first is the cost. I think these are massively overpriced. When you take into account the materials that are used in this, you realise you're pretty much paying for just the DW logo. This is the same with other brands in other niches too. Really, these watches, they only cost a couple of pounds to make and they're charging a lot of money for them. But I guess the marketing commands the price. Overall, there are a ton of better alternatives elsewhere. The next one is, in my opinion, their misleading marketing. I've seen these advertised before as elegant, high quality, and luxury, when I can't see how you can call them that, especially the latter two. If you're someone that's not experienced with watches, this may lead you to believe that these are luxury. Also, the resale value. Brands like Daniel Wellington and Movement watches instantly lose a ton of value. With other more established watch brands, if after a couple of years you decided you wanted to sell one of these watches, you can list them on eBay and get a fair chunk back. Whereas with these other brands, you'll struggle to sell them for a tenth of the retail price. And the final one I can really think of is the generic design. This design is used by a plethora of other brands these days. As to whether Daniel Wellington specifically came up with this exact design first, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so overall, I'm answering the question I like to answer at the end of each of these videos. Is this watch worth a buy? As I said before, you can buy whatever you want. That being said, you can buy manure if you want. It doesn't make it good. In my opinion, with Daniel Wellington, you're spending quite a significant amount of money for not much in return. In person, when put side by side with its competition, I think these look and feel pretty cheap. If at some point they decide to substantially upgrade their watches whilst keeping them at the same cost, they may become a better choice. Or if these were priced at half their current retail cost, maybe even less, I think they'd be more recommendable. However, in their current state, as with MVMT watches, I can't recommend them. I'd say avoid this brand. Those two alternatives that I mentioned before are, in my opinion, better and cheaper. The nail in the coffin for me with Daniel Wellington came a few months ago. I ordered a generic, unbranded Wellington-style watch directly from China. It arrived in a Daniel Wellington box with a Daniel Wellington logo on the front, and was, as far as I could tell, identical to the original one. If you'd like to see more on that, you can watch the video on my fashion channel up here. Overall, Daniel Wellington need to be commended when it comes to their approach to marketing. They use social media and influencer marketing far better than most traditional watch brands. When was the last time you saw Seiko sending a watch to your favourite YouTuber? Exactly. Furthermore, at least this brand is getting people into watches in the first place. Companies like these are inspiring young people to wear a watch in an age where your smartphone will tell you the time more accurately. It's clear other traditional watch brands are failing in this regard, so at least they can be commended for that. These watches may be seen as cool on social media, but how do they fare on the wall of watches? In the last review video, you guys voted on where the Carnegie watch sits. While some people didn't like it, overall, that watch got a really good reception. I think you appreciated how that watch was kind of doing things differently from brands like Daniel Wellington. And as such, you almost unanimously voted cool, so that's where this watch is going. Where should the Daniel Wellington watch sit on the wall? Is it
low quality Chinese garbage,
uncool, cool, or ice cold? Hint, it's garbage! I think I may know where this one's going to end up, but let me know in the comment section below, and remember you can have that extra vote in the iCard above. Either way, subscribe for more watch videos, and I'll see you in the next one.